So guys, welcome back to another interview. I still don't have a title for this for whatever the hell this thing is. I'm just gonna say interviews for right now. But this is a really, really, really special interview. I know I said this about the last one, but this is really special because this person, I met him in the most unlikely place, and I'll let him introduce himself and explain how we met.
What's up, everybody? My name is John Grimm. Right now, I'm a suicide crisis counselor in the state of Illinois, and I'm also doing substitute teaching for children with behavioral issues. I met Brandon at at UFIT up in Margate when I was working there. I used to work as a sales rep there, and also I do a little bit of personal training on the side with other people with disabilities. And Brandon and I hit it off pretty quick. We talked shit about hip hop, and just our goals and ambitions. Both of us being people with disabilities, we already have adversity that we faced on an individual level, be it something as simple as, physical fitness goals. Obviously, you're gonna be able to lift, but you're gonna have a lot of eyes on you. And, sometimes that could be a good thing, sometimes that could be a bad thing. But I also was able to help myself out by getting a driver's license in the state of Florida. Granted, I was 26, so I was much older than a lot of people normally are. But I mean, there was a lot of adversity with that, talking about, yo, I don't think it's a good idea that you drive, or you should pay 5 grand for hand controls, or maybe you should rely on paratransit, which is a service that a lot of our disabled folks in South Florida know about. And I was like, nah, fuck that. So I went and researched a lot of things, and we found A plus driving school. Shout out to Johnny Lopez, man. That dude was the man.
Yeah,
And so
shout out to
ultimately,
Johnny for sure.
my ability to get trained in driving inspired Brandon. And not too long ago, my boy secured his own driver's license. And it was a big accomplishment, not just for him individually, but for anybody that's being told, hey, you can't do this, or it's not a good idea that you do this. Seeing Brandon go through and do the same thing I did, it's an inspiration, and it lets you know that, hey man, it may be hard to climb that damn wall, but a lot of us disabled cats, we got strong upper bodies, so we're gonna pull ourselves over that damn thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So with that, my first question is, what was it like for you growing up with
Uh,
with cerebral palsy?
Growing up with CP, at first you don't think about it as a kid because I was still doing the same thing that most kids are doing. I was mad into video games. I liked watching my cartoons. I liked, talking about the girls in my school. I was all about that. I think that it started getting a little harder when I got older and you seen certain activities go down that maybe you can't do. Like my cousins were big into BMX and skateboarding. And I was like, and I love the idea of it, but I couldn't do it. I had other cousins that were big into basketball, and at the time, I wasn't really familiar with wheelchair basketball at that point. But things like sports was a really hard thing because a lot of times when you play sports in elementary school or middle school, and especially if you start to take a liking to them and you're good at them, you form friendships with people on that team that I don't think you get in regular conventional settings.
That's
Another
absolutely
thing
true.
is, when growing up with a disability, whether you know it or not, you're going to be stared at. People going to look at you. You look different. Yeah, you may be smaller in build. Your voice may sound different. I remember I had a speech impediment for the longest of time. There was other areas like something as simple as, let's say, tying your shoes, right? I
Mm,
was I was about 15 when my hands decided that, hey, we're gonna learn to tie our shoes. But for the longest, I would always have to be that dude to ask someone, hey, yo, can you help me tie this shoe? And, when you're 9, 10 years old, maybe it's like, okay, that's cool. But you 12, 13, 14 years old, they gonna look at you like, hold on a sec. Why the hell can't you tie your shoe, man? What is going on with you? And so there's a lot of things there as well. And plus, another thing that I'm sure Brandon, even grown up as a kid too, a lot of people wanted to mess with our equipment. They seen my walker, they like, yo, I want to play with that. They seen my
mm,
wheelchair when I used to have one, they want to play with it. And it's really hard as a kid to put your foot down and be like, this ain't a toy. This is my equivalent to your legs for now, and it's a
mm.
hard thing to go through with. but I've also made a lot of good friends along the way as well, growing up with a disability. And it also encouraged me, and I'm sure Brandon can relate too. It encouraged us to be stronger for ourselves in other
Mm-hmm.
areas to, as we got older, to learn to speak up and empower ourselves and be like, hey, listen, just because, this is something that stands out that's different does not mean that I'm not going to put my foot down and stand up for myself. So there's a lot of things that we do face, the good and the bad and everything in between on that end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with what you said. I mean, even though my cerebral palsy isn't as severe as yours, I did deal with a lot of the same things, especially with especially with sports. Even though I'm more able to, like play sports when it came to sports, like it was really difficult for my mom to like kind of understand like okay, it was kind of like okay, he can play basketball with his friends, run around with his friends, but when it comes to actually like playing in a competitive setting, she looked at it kind of like it. I don't really want him to do that because I don't really want him to get hurt. I did play challenger baseball when I was younger, and at the time, I'm thinking, oh, I'm playing baseball. I'm thinking it's regular competitive baseball, not understanding that they didn't keep score, that everybody had a chance to hit. So I'm thinking at the end of the year when everybody's getting trophies that we're champions and not noticing that, oh no, it was like basically everybody got a participation trophy.
Yeah, and it felt that all the hard work you put in and the love you gave to the game was for nothing. And also, it's important, and I'm sure everyone of any kind of athletics background needs to understand that, especially when we're younger, you gotta taste defeat. Because if you just run around getting a trophy thinking, yo, I'm the best in the world, when the world finally does hand you an L, you gotta understand how to process it. Not only because the feeling sucks,
Mm,
but it encourages you, hey, I took this L. How can I avoid it? And you want to get back to the lab and you want to make yourself better, be it maybe your strength wasn't up. Let's go lift weights. Maybe your endurance wasn't up. So I'm going to start running. Maybe you need to change your whole damn diet and get yourself better there. Maybe you got to understand the plays next year and how you got beat. And so
mm,
it encourages you to learn. If everyone's getting a participation trophy, it almost seems like, well, what's the point? I know what the outcome is going to be.
mm. So the next question I have for you is, and I've been thinking about asking this question just in general, but how has your perspective changed about cerebral palsy from when you were younger up to now? Like, what it would like? How has your mental shifted?
Um, I know that when I was younger, like I said, even the same as before, you don't really notice certain things until you get older. Um, like I thought that when I was younger, I just figured, you know what, even with a disability, it's still good. I still am afforded the same opportunities as a lot of people. I think that, you know, even when you look at something like employment, if I have the credentials on paper, then I think I should have as good of a shot as everybody else does.
Mm,
When I got older, that's when you realize pretty quickly, um, that's not the case, and the field is not level. I went to college for criminology and psychology. I finished both programs. I had a 3.8 GPA at Florida Atlantic.
oh wow.
I was really good, and the first thing I did was I applied for jobs that I wanted to go to. I wanted to be in law enforcement. Now, obviously, I knew where my limits were in terms of like, I ain't gonna be a beat cop. I knew that,
Yeah, but you were
unfortunately.
thinking, oh, I could probably like
But I
work in the
thought maybe
office or
I can
something.
go into probation parole officer.
Hmm.
You need a bachelor's. Okay, I got it. You need, experience here, here, and here. I was like, I got this. I have applied to several probation parole officers positions in Florida. Actually, right out of college, I did get the job. I did. I got a job as a juvenile probation officer in Fort Lauderdale,
Wow.
and I did well. I was making a name for myself. The judges in the court system, they loved me. My chief officer loved me. But the thing that stopped me was they realized, oh snaps, we gave John a job. He does not have a license. At that time, I was about 24 years old. I didn't have a license because I was battling through Florida. I suffered from epilepsy, so driving was not really an issue. You needed to go 2 years without a seizure, and I couldn't seem to make that cusp. So I told them I was like, look, I don't have a license. And they said, John, you got until May. I got the job the day before my birthday on the 17th of March of 2017. And, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I tried to get the license, and Florida was giving me every bit of problems. I really wish I knew about Johnny back then. But ultimately, May came. I didn't have the license. I had to go. After I went and left that job, that's actually how I ended up at UFit not too long after, because I needed to keep making money. Because let's be real, as anybody that knows, anybody that has disability, like the check, I don't know where people get this idea that it's gonna be something to make. I said it in a heartbeat. I would trade the handicap sticker and that disability check any day of the week for a chance to be able to move around normally
Uh,
without pain or without discomfort. Um, so yeah, the big thing that changed coming back to that point is growing older, you realize that the playing field's not level, despite in spite of the fact that you wish it could be. It's not level. You're going to get discriminated on. I had one job actually tell me, "Hey man, we would give you this job if it weren't for those crutches." Now,
that's crazy.
yep, they didn't say it like that, but that was the message. We are worried about the health and safety of you and those within your care if we gave you this job. They can't say it's because of your disability, because you can come deep with lawyers. They
Mm-hmm.
know better than to do that. Or I've noticed too that when I realize the disability is the problem, they'll hit you with, I think we've moved on to more suitable candidates that have more experience in the areas that we are looking for.
Mm-hmm. Or it's if you get the job because it's something I dealt with. It's something I dealt with and I'm still kind of dealing with FedEx. Is they'll give you the job and but they'll slowly cut your hours,
Mm-hmm.
but they
Yes,
won't
they will.
fire you because they can't.
No, they're going to get you to the point where you're thinking, you know what, maybe this ain't a good idea. They're hoping you quit, is what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're hoping you saying, damn, these hours are not good enough for me. I gotta go. And then they still win.
Yeah. And the fact that I'm still there, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some people that work at FedEx that see me all the time. Every time I come in 1 day a week, and they're probably like, "Damn, he's still here. I wish he would have left." They probably won't outwardly say it, but I know there's
Oh, no,
probably a
who
couple
knows? But
people
then
that
there's
think
also
that.
that other side that, probably understand maybe what you're going through to a certain capacity where they're like, yo, I know the shady stuff that FedEx is trying to pull, and Brandon is still doing his thing. It could be very inspiring. Matter of fact, I hear that now. And even though you work 1 day a week at this damn job, that's inspiring to me to be like, yo, he's not giving up hope.
Mm,
And obviously, and that's good to know that. Even now, like I said, I'm holding down these two jobs, right? One of them is actually quite dangerous, man. I'm a crisis worker, and I take suicide calls every night from 10 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning. And I go to hospitals and I assess these guys. They can be young kids, elementary school age children, up to old people, up to well into their 80s. I've had people yell at me and threaten me, and I'm telling you, if it got real, I'm very fortunate it has. But if it ever got to that point, as much as I would love to compliment my strengths in terms of maybe where my upper body's at, if it gets real, I know I don't got a leg to stand on. I'm
mm-hmm,
done for because I can't outrun them, and I probably wouldn't be able to outmuscle them either.
mm,
Maybe, but it's a scary deal. And then the same with this school. I'm working with the school with children with behavioral problems, and their ages are from 5 to 23.
oh wow.
Because how the IEP works, you can stay in school until I think 22, 23 years old. But the
Mm,
good thing about that is rather than dog me out, the shout out to the people over at Menta Academy in Chicago, they um they told me, hey, look, we understand that the your disability would present a problem if the kid gets aggressive. Because, like it or not, my crutches still can be used as weapons. They can easily take it from me and knock me out with it or hit somebody else with it. But rather than saying we're passing up on you, they said, John, we loved what you bring so much at the interview and what you've done throughout life and throughout your work experience that we want to offer you a position where you can still teach these kids, but you would do so from the setting of an online school. So I would still be teaching. It would almost like be what we're doing now, and I wouldn't have to worry about getting hurt or getting someone else hurt. I'd still be able to make that difference in the lives of these kids, and I get money, and most importantly, they're gonna help me pay for grad school. So I'll get my
Oh,
master's degree finally.
oh wow. Yeah. Like it's kind of well, it's not exactly the same, but like even working at Planet Fitness now, the reason I got the job was because like during the phone interview, my manager now, she was like, I really like how you speak. I want to go in for an in-person interview. And once she met me in person and I let her know that I had cerebral palsy, come to find out that she has a brother with cerebral palsy. So she completely understood where I was coming from.
See, now that's a gift from God right there, bro. Because
Yeah.
it's hard for somebody to be able to directly relate in some way like that. When you got a loved one, you see the struggle. You see how certain areas of life can be a little more difficult. And I really do hope that those of you that are watching that have a loved one or maybe have a close friend or somebody that you're tight with, I want you to see those struggles. And I want you to understand that it's important that you don't take those little abilities for granted. For us, like I said, me, something as simple as tying my shoes, I was 15. It wasn't laziness. I wanted to every day. Something as simple as, trying to walk in the grocery store and try to hold something while you walk it. It's hard, man. And I'm sure you
Mhm.
even can relate to that. Once you get a little bit of weight to one side or the other, I don't know about you, bro, but I do have a dominant side. On my right side, I can carry damn near anything. On my left side, I don't know. It looks like I had one too many to drink.
For me, it's the complete opposite. It's the left side that's really strong, and it's the right side that's a little bit.
Yeah, so those things that all of you guys, anyone that's viewing this, that you guys can do, I want you to look back and, you know, thank God for those abilities because not everybody gets them. And I look at myself and I think, although I have this CP and there's so many different strains of CP, man, you just look at me and Brandon, I have a good friend of mine that I went to college with, Garrett. He is in a wheelchair. He's got speech prop, like his speech is a little off, but he went through college. He studied film in college. He's working on putting together independent movies. He does his own podcast called Love on a Roll. Anybody that wants to check him out, definitely do so. But he's another inspiration to me. But like, look at him and Brandon doing his thing, and I'm doing my thing. My twin brother in Odessa, Texas, also has CP. He is a ninth grade history teacher now.
Oh
So
wow!
yeah, he is a ninth grade history teacher working for the special education department at in Ector County Schools in Odessa, Texas. So he's doing really well. He's actually got a baby on the way.
Oh wow!
Yep,
Congratulations!
yep. I'm gonna be an
You
uncle.
guys really are me. If I was white and had my life together, I'm upset.
Dude, we would have been great. The three of us would have tore shit up. That would have been it. The three of
Mhm,
us would have tore shit up, man. That would have been it. It would have been me, you, and my brother running all around Southside Chicago. It would have been great.
mhm, mhm. So the last question I have for you is, what was your first impression when you met me? Because my first impression when I met you, because I know when we first met, it was kind of weird. Because I remember I checked in, and I was working out, and I kept looking, and I'm like, it looks like, because you know how several people with cerebral palsy have this certain look, and you can just tell.
Yeah.
So I kept looking, and I'm like, it looks like he has cerebral palsy, but I'm not too sure. But I'm too much of a bitch to go up and ask. And then it wasn't until I walked up and that you asked me if I had cerebral palsy and how many surgeries it took me to walk. So
Yeah.
what was it like? So what was it like when you first met me, and how has it been?
So, when I first met you again, it was pretty, I was like, look, I was like, yo, I think that's one of my people. But I was like, oh shit, my dude's walking. And I have a good friend of mine in Chicago named Gabriel, and he had CP as well, but he's able to walk. So I was like, oh shit, it's kind of like Gabriel. And so I was like, I'm gonna go say what's up. I'm gonna say what's up. I hate interrupting people during a workout. I can't stand when people do that to me sometimes, unless you got a question. But I understand that the gym is not for conversing. You want to go in, you got to get your thing in, and then maybe after or doing it during your cool down, you want to talk. That's all good. But I had to ask. I'm like, yo, man, do you got CP? He's like, yeah. I'm like, yo. how many surgeries did it take for you to walk? Were you always able to walk from a young age? I had to get my rundown of questions because, again, so many of us are different, even though the diagnosis is still the same. And kind of, seeing my dude over there working out. You didn't know now, but he motherfucker got bigger. He got bigger. He wasn't this big. He's
No,
doing this thing and he's still putting his nose to the stone and hustling and working. Um, I gotta re up and get my gym back together. I mean, between 70 hours of work a week and everything else, it's kind of hard to find time because I gotta find somewhere to sleep.
I
But I
got
do
you.
want to get that back in motion. Also, it was just really cool to see him doing his thing, working out, and he carried himself with a different kind of confidence. He didn't walk around chest out thinking he was the shit, but he knew he wasn't an ant ready to get stepped on either. He was one of them quiet dudes. He didn't have to say much, but he carried himself well enough to where nobody was going to take advantage of him. And we still talk left, right, and center, back and forth, and you know, seeing him take off with his interviews, and I've seen a lot of them. I've watched through them, and when he's like, "Yo, man, do you want to do an interview today?" I'm like, "Shit, okay, that's cool. I wouldn't have no problem talking with people about all the stuff that we had gone through, and there's so many probably different topics we can cover just together. I mean, we've seen it, man. Not only the job market, something as simple as, finding somebody, getting a partner, or even, trying to talk to people of the opposite sex. Um, it gets hard sometimes, and there's the stigma too that I'm sure both Brandon and I have dealt with more than once, where let's say you do want to get with a girl or a guy, whatever, anyone watching this, and the assumption to that other person that may not have a disability is, well, I like this person, but they're disabled, which means I got to help them with everything. They probably can't wipe their own ass, which is the furthest from the truth. We can definitely do all that, but there's a lot of stigma that comes with it. There's I don't want to do it because of this, or what if this happens? And for like I said, to a lot of us watching, to a lot of the other people that will see this, if you've got a loved one that is struggling with a disability, or somebody, first of all, don't assume where their limitations are because they can be pleasant. They can definitely surprise you, and you'll learn really quickly. Oh, snaps! I didn't think they could do that. There's a lot of us that are capable of. We can move mountains if we want to. We definitely can, and we should be encouraged by our loved ones, by our family, by our friends, and even the cats on the street. We should do that, and we should get fed into, hey man, you can do this. And then when I see somebody like Brandon, where I got my license, and then there we go, my dude gets his license, and I want Brandon to be a pinnacle of hope the same way that I feel I can be for the next guy that's like, yo, maybe it's a younger kid too, maybe it's that 15, 16-year-old with disability. Yo, I want to get my license. Talk to me, talk to Brandon. And you should definitely, anytime, even when you're watching this interview, hit up Brandon, ask him questions. Because the only dumb questions that there are the ones that you're afraid to ask because they're never gonna have answers. Hit
Mhm.
up Brandon, ask him questions. Hell, hit me up, ask me questions. I have no problem answering. I'm sure Brandon doesn't either, and it really just strengthens the bond within the community, not only of disabled individuals, but those that have loved ones, or even those that are just purely curious. Maybe they just got a good heart, want to know how it works, and this will be a great way for them to learn that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. What you said a lot of powerful things, and I really think this is gonna touch a lot of people. And I'm really glad and thankful that you decided to do this because you didn't have to. I mean, even though we're cool, you really didn't have to do this, and I really appreciate it. And you've helped me a lot too. I'm not gonna go into it. I'm not gonna go into it too much because we'd be here all day, and there's not that much time left. But yeah, you've helped me a lot. Just finding out the fact that you lived by yourself
Hmm?
was like it shot me in the face like holy shit, like I can actually live on my own and actually function with the disability, because for the longest time I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to live by myself, or I'm not going to be able to do this because I'm going to need help at some point. But after coming to your apartment that day and finding out that you live on your own just fine and you function just fine, gave me the gave me the motivation and the knowledge that I can do this. I just have to want to.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty easy to do it. It's you got to have the drive, which I know you got plenty of it. And also, there's also another thing, and a lot of my people, maybe with disabilities, should see it. And even if you don't have one directly, never be afraid to swallow your pride and ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not with the little things, but if you know, like, hey, I struggle. Like I said, I got a friend in Chicago. He lives on his own. He got CP as well, and he has home health that comes in. Make sure that he gets his shopping done and has everything he needs. But my boy does live on his own, and to use some of those resources, there's no knock on the chin with that. I would
Mm-hmm.
encourage that to anybody that needs it, to use those resources and kind of anything you can, so long as you're still on your own. And for those that don't have the ability, they're no less than me and you. They're no less than the people watching, you know. And I'm sure they'd almost give anything to even taste a glimpse of what me and Brandon here have done. And sometimes it's not within their control. So to any of those listening, if you got your ears peeled to this, we're still here with you and we'll be your strength when you don't feel you have any, just like all these people. They're going to see this and maybe they'll be in our corner when we might feel like we can't get up to the 10 count. Sometimes life hits us all hard in the face, and it's good to have people backing us and in our corner that legitimately give a damn and that want to see success. It seems like this world is full of a lot of hatred. Seems like this world doesn't want to see people shine or succeed. They get ticked off or they get offended by something. The new culture is kind of strange. It's a combination of too sensitive yet too cynical. It's really weird.
Yeah, like there's no middle ground anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So thank you. Thank you again to John for being on. I really, really appreciate it. And this was a great conversation. This was a great conversation. I learned a lot. I learned a lot myself about you that I didn't know before, and hopefully someone can take bits and pieces and nuggets from this and help help themselves and learn more. So
Oh yeah,
yeah.
definitely. And it was always cool talking with you too, bro. And if you ever need to talk again or do another interview, man, I am a quick hit away. And like I said, man, I'll be in Florida next year. So,
Oh no, yeah, definitely. Because I'm thinking, I don't know if you saw my you saw the podcast I was on with David Figueroa, right?
mm-hmm. Yep,
Where I don't know if you heard the ending, but I mentioned about doing a roundtable, and I'm actually trying to get in contact with him again so we could discuss that. And I would
that would be
definitely
great.
want
You
you
just
to.
make sure you bring a couple of beers and we'll get it in.
Yeah, I definitely want you to be a part of that roundtable after speaking with you.
I would love to, man. It'd be an honor.
All right. All right. Again, guys, this was John Grimm. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys on the next one whenever that may be.
Right.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.